How does public speaking help students? Well, are you a student thinking about maybe you should get into public speaking? Maybe you should take a class about it. I know that when I was in school, I was not the smartest kid in the class. In fact, I tested out as, I think, the lowest in my entire class. I only admit that to you because I've gone on to make a lot of money and have a lot of influence, and I believe that's because of public speaking. And so I appreciate that you would watch this. And because I was involved in student government, and I had other ways where I had to stand up and speak in front of my peers, even though I didn't test as well as they did, and I wasn't considered as smart as them. They considered me a leader. And that's what happens when we become a speaker or take a class on it. And so yes, speaking can help you as a student overall. In fact, even though I tested out very low, I eventually, because of speaking and leadership and so forth, was able to graduate as an honor roll student from high school. So that's a really cool thing. If you're a student and watching this, I know this video will help you and give you some cool ideas as to why it's important. And my name is Jason Hewlett. I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. Yeah, you can become a Hall of Fame speaker too, no matter where you test out in your class. So I'm excited to talk to you about this today. So let's first talk about building confidence. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know when I was in school, I wasn't quite that confident about myself. You know, things were going a little bit wrong with my body, and I was growing and my voice was changing and all those weird things. You know, you're worried about what people think about you a lot more than I think when you're an adult. And so as a kid, I remember thinking, how can I build my confidence? I actually found confidence whenever I got on stage. It wasn't because I was good on stage, it was because I was willing to let go and go for it. Now, you might think, oh, that's terrifying, I don't even want to be on stage. Well, I want you to know that even as an adult, there are people that struggle with being on stage, and that's okay. I want you to just commit to the practice of saying to yourself, I'm going to do it, because I know that this will build confidence in me. Let me give you an example about somebody I saw recently who is not a student, but rather a 70-year-old woman who took a class that I taught with my coaching partner. Her name is Cheryl Knowlton, and she's a masterful teacher. She's one of the great speakers there is. She's a certified speaking professional. And Cheryl Knowlton, and one of the great speakers, like I say, she and I had a woman in our class. We had people of all ages, from just after high school all the way to their 70s. And this lady had to stand up in front of us and give a very simple 5-minute speech. It wasn't a tall order, but it was hard for her. In fact, she stood up in front of all of us, and we all thought that she was a darling woman already. But she stood up there and she held her paper and she looked down and she was terrified. We could see that she was shaking. I don't know if you've felt that before, but I know that I have, and I knew what she was going through. So before she started, Cheryl and I walked up to her, we put our arm around her, and we said, hey, this is gonna be great. You just have to go for it. And so we said, you don't have to put the notes down completely, but don't read them, and just glance at them. And so she committed to that. So she started into her speech by landing the very first line. Here's what happened with this. The whole audience was there cheering her on. We were interested in her success. And when she delivered her first line, it was hilarious. And everyone busted up laughing. And now here's what happened to that wonderful lady. She looked up when she saw that we laughed, and then she read the next line, and we laughed even harder at that. Guess what? She then put the paper down and just started talking to us because she noticed that we were with her. Sometimes we just need a line to land. We need them to laugh. We need them to cry. We need them to lean into the emotion. But I'm proud of that great student, even in her 70s. And as you're watching this, if you're in high school and you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with me? I want you to know that even when you're an adult, it can be difficult to stand on a stage. But when you do it, you'll gain more confidence. And so your actionable tip would be to commit and make a promise to me and to you right now in this video that you're going to go for it and get on stage and give a speech. When you do that, you need to record yourself. Recording yourself gives you the opportunity to watch back and say, oh, I could do it better, or this was awesome, this is where they loved me, and then you can repeat that over and over again. I actually call this exposure therapy. That means throwing yourself into the experience. Now, this can be a really scary and daunting thing to do, but the people that are willing to make the jump, to commit to something great. It's just like if you were to parachute out of an airplane, right? That's a very scary experience, but you have to just say, I'm going for it, and then you have to make the jump. So are you ready to jump? So if you're ready to jump, I want you to go book yourself into a class. Go try to give a speech somewhere. Offer to speak to somebody in any setting, even if it's just a small classroom that's not a speaking class. You could ask the teacher and say, hey, can I give a summary or a report? And they'll be like, really? And you just say, yes, I'm working on my public speaking skills. They'll be like, oh, I love this guy. That would be exactly what you need to do. Let's talk about how this enhances communication skills. Perhaps the most important skill you can learn in your life is communication, and to effectively not only share that which you're trying to sell somebody on or that you believe in, but also in actively listening to other people. I believe this is the main skill that students are missing in life right now. A lot of people are stuck on their devices and they're looking down at the ground. They're not focused on communicating well. And so in terms of that, I want you to consider for yourself how communication is so essential and important in your life. And communication isn't just talking. It's also nonverbal. That means looking at someone when they're talking to you. Have you ever noticed that? Have you been to a restaurant recently and watched people eating and yet they're not talking, they're not conversing, they're looking at their phones? It's a tragedy. So in terms of just becoming better at communication overall, that's what this is about. So whether you're a kid that's thinking, well, how can I start to communicate more, whether it's in the halls at school or in a classroom, or if you're an adult watching this thinking, how could I do that in everyday situations? Well, go do a networking event. Go to something where a bunch of people have to talk to one another. That's a really interesting place to be. And then as a kid, hey, you can go to a sporting event. Start to cheer more, stand up, jump around, have fun, communicate with people. These types of things will make a difference in your life. I would also encourage you as a student, because it's already built into your school, go join the drama club, go into theater, try a speaking class or a leadership position. All of these things allow you to jump and dive right into working on becoming a speaker. Now let's talk about developing critical thinking. When it comes to speaking, as a student, you have opportunities all across the board. There are clubs you could join, and my son, his name is Redford, he was just elected the student body president of his high school, which is an amazing accomplishment because it's the biggest school in our state. And what's interesting about this is that when he was little, he would walk up to people and ask if they wanted to be his friend while they're on the playground. I always thought that was cute when he was 3, 4, and 5 years old. And yet that's continued throughout his life. And then now he's joined things like DECA. DECA and FBLA and FCCLA and HOSA and all the different types of communities for students to get to have interaction with other students. But here's what's fun about DECA. At the DECA state competition and regional ones as well, they actually force you to critically think about a subject you don't know very much about perhaps. And you have to give a speech on it, whether pro or against this type of subject. It's a really fascinating process. And my son Redford's become quite a good speaker because he's able to stand up and articulate well. Even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's able to give a great example or story or come up with some critical thinking in order to have better judgment, in order to also see the perspectives of other people and to understand their opinion and listen to them and then give his critical feedback as well. So I'd encourage you to check out something like DECA. The reason this is helpful is because it engages impromptu speaking or thinking on your feet. It's a lot like taking an improv class or going to a comedy club. Now, if you're a student, you can't do that. And so I would recommend that you just try to do other places or other opportunities where you can think on your feet and give a speech in front of people. One of the other ways and places you could do this is even with your friends. In a conversation, you don't want it to sound too much like you've prepared a statement or a speech or something, but you can insert some of the language or a story that you've been working on for your next speech. That's always an interesting thing to do with your friends, and that's an easy way to organically make it work. Now let's talk about why it's so important for your academic and career advancement. We have some friends, they're the Qualey family. The Qualeys have all been in leadership throughout high school. And what's cool about the Qualey family is their parents are amazing. They're very engaging, interactive, fun, wonderful, service-oriented people. And here's what's amazing about their kids. Their kids have all been in leadership within the high school system. and then they've received scholarships to the colleges and universities they've gone to because they've worked at public speaking. So they took speaking classes in school. They engaged in student government. They worked on leadership. And now, because of those things that they did in high school, now they're in college. They have great opportunities to serve. They received scholarships and had their college paid for because of public speaking and because they were good at it. Now that's only going to help their career advancement, for them to get a better job, more opportunities, because they're articulate, because they can talk into a camera or stand up in front of a bunch of people and actually articulate their thoughts. These are great reasons as to why you should take some public speaking classes. Of course, then there's just overall leadership in general. When it comes to leadership, you have an opportunity every single day to get better at that which you want to be good at. I would say lean into your signature moves, because you have signature moves that make you awesome and unique, and you need to lean into that. But equally, leadership is to help others discover their signature moves and that which makes them unique. And so when you're able to communicate in this style, your leadership will increase. Let's talk also about social and emotional growth. When it comes to the people around you, you have an opportunity and really an obligation to listen, to be adaptable, but equally to listen to what they have to say, to think to yourself, okay, why do they have that opinion? How can I figure out a way for us to all work together even if we don't agree with each other? And these types of things are, yes, leadership. They're equally social growth, and they're about emotions. A lot of people throughout their lives, they get so technically into the weeds in terms of, I'm good at this one thing and that's what I've got, and then they put their head down and they go to work, and that's fine. But we need people that are also social and emotional beings, that are able to bring everybody that's not looking up and everybody that's working hard on the thing that they're working on. We need people like you to be that emotional support, to keep the social wellness among all of us. And there's a social health that my friend David Kozlowski talks about. Social health is truly engaging with other people, communicating, caring for them, reaching out for them. We don't have to agree on every opinion. We don't have to think the same. In fact, it's important to reach out to people that are absolutely different than us in order for us to be an engaging leadership person. The greatest speech you've ever given, you haven't given quite yet. I truly believe that. And so what I want you to do is, in the comments below, please type in which of these actionable tips I've just given you that you're going to use. I'm excited for you. And I know that because you're a speaker and you're a student, you're going to make a difference in this world because you're truly a leader. Thanks for joining me.